The prose poem, this is a prose poem, and it's called Gray Fox. Story goes that the young man to whom I gave a copy of this thing, would go from bar to bar in a town in Virginia, and on the strength of it, he would get paid beer, pints of beer. Well, that's certainly more than I ever got paid for this thing. Anyway, here's my prose poem. The Gray Fox. He was there, and I didn't recognize him. He was there in the night, in the first-born Everglades now ribboned with asphalt, and in the shortened arc of the parking lot's lamplight. He was leaning against the front of a convenience store, nursing a beer, and he was waiting. It was a night's full summer and a Saturday, when the air was alive to marsh life, cooling, easing, nocturnally breathing. We were 2 hours from home, already sun-drunk from a day spent fishing in the Gulf, and we were stopping in for more beer. He began to talk to us as we got out of our truck, smooth and innocent, and I got taken for a fool. He began by talking about his wife, and how he didn't know if he should go home. He had been out for so long, he said, writing and drinking, that home was now as chancy for him as taking on the rest of the night alone. And so he drank his beer, and he offered one to me. I took his beer, thinking it would be the friendly thing to do. He then called himself the Gray Fox, and I still didn't see behind his mask. Instead, I laughed. His eyes were cloudy and pigskin closed. His T-shirt covered an aging biker's belly. His jeans were worked in grease and dirt, and I laughed. He looked at me laughing, and he walked over to his bike. Still holding his beer, he came down on the kicker and hard. He let the engine purr. He then said again that they called him the Gray Fox, and that his bike of a couple of thousand cc's could speed at 198.7 miles per hour. He also said he would take me down the road. He said he would take me down the road and show me how it runs. A flashing light in the night, and we would be gone, he said, at 198.7 miles per hour. We would be gone, and he invited me to hold on, which was when my smiling face found another place to keep. He said, "Let's go," and his eyes grew brighter. I could already feel the night's air spliced into a wake trailing behind us, the cooling night air stirring in the swamp. He said, "Come on, I'll show you how it's done, 'cause I'm the Gray Fox, and I run at 198.7 miles per hour. He gripped down on the throttle then, and he wound it back. The night's air broke just a little when he did. His arm flexed, his body grew true, and his eyes became sharp, and they were turning green, cold fluorescent green, which was when I saw he was the Gray Fox, and that this would be his last ride and his best. At 198.7 miles per hour, He would slice the time, clear its rim, and he would take his bike below the cooling breeze to where the air was dry ice burning through the skin. And so I swallowed and said no to the gray fox, and a summer's breeze came back between us, breathing down to come between us. You know what? This is actually not fiction.